Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance. My name is Marco and I'm here to help you master your money and build your wealth. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how the auto industry is getting crushed right now, specifically with used cars. So the pandemic is obviously affecting a lot of industries right now, and everyone's talking about the stimulus package and stocks and cruise lines and all that stuff, which is great. However, not many people are making videos about the potential recession in the car industry. So production is shut down, factories are shut down, supply chains are being disrupted, and obviously there's lower demand with the quarantine going on right now. So in this video, we're going to talk about the state of the industry, we're going to talk about how we can benefit as consumers in buying a used car, and we're also going to talk about how we can benefit with certain incentives going on with new cars. Stay tuned. So let's talk about the state of the automotive industry. Everyone knows that new cars are getting more and more expensive, and it's not feasible for the average middle-class person to be buying brand new cars. So more people are leaning towards used. So when it comes to used cars, dealers know that this is going to be a huge profit center for them. Used cars typically have higher margins and bigger profit margins than new cars because you can only relatively sell a new car within a certain price range without having to take a loss. New cars are sometimes even the biggest loss leaders at a dealership just to get that customer to go to service, financing, etc., etc. So think about it this way. When you're going shopping for a gallon of milk and you go to one grocery store and the gallon of milk is priced at X, you go down the street, the other gallon of milk is probably going to be very similar. However, used cars are different. The dealer is taking in these used cars at different prices and at much lower prices, typically wholesale, and they're marking them up and selling them to the customer at retail or what market price is. So where do these used cars originate? As mentioned, they come in from trade-ins. So when someone goes to the dealership, they want to get rid of their old car and buy a new one. They typically don't want the hassle of selling it privately, so they just trade it in. They're coming in from auctions, which is typically wholesale pricing. They're coming in from rental companies that are selling their current fleet, and they're coming in from lease returns. People that don't want to purchase their lease and just want to go back into a new lease or a different vehicle, they return the lease, the dealer cleans it up, sells it as a used car on the lot. However, the issue and the crux of this whole video is that used car sales are plummeting. According to Manheim's used prices, they are down 11.8% in the first half of April. Used car auctions are having prices fall significantly because people are simply not going to them, and supply is outpacing demand by a lot. So used car prices plummeting creates pressure on the automotive industry in 4 different ways. The first way is that new car prices have to either be discounted heavily in order for new inventory to come in. So if a dealer is sitting on 2020 models or potentially even 2019 models that still haven't moved, they need to make room on their lot for 2021 models. So they have 2 ways of doing this: by offering crazy incentives, which we're going to talk about at the end of this video, or by discounting the MSRP pretty significantly. The second way it's creating pressure is on rental companies. So rental car companies, they sell their used fleet to the public or to wholesale pricing after they're done renting that car out. So they can't offload their inventory at the price that they expected because the used car market is going down so much, which is creating tons of losses in that industry. So if you're following this video at the time of the recording, Hertz is actually fighting bankruptcy at the time of this recording, and they may potentially go bankrupt. Check out their stock if you want to look into potentially investing in that. I probably wouldn't touch it right now, but it could be a good opportunity. The third way it's creating pressure is through lease residual values. So if you don't know what a lease residual value is basically just what the car will be worth at the end of a lease. So these car companies, they have depreciation charts and they know exactly what they think the car will be worth at the end of the 3-year lease. However, they didn't expect there to be a quarantine and used prices to be discounted so much. So just to give you some perspective, GM is sitting on $30.4 billion worth of lease cars, and those have an expected certain value. However, that's going to cause potentially billions of losses if those cars are sold significantly under residual value. Same thing with Ford. Ford has $27.6 billion worth of leases on the road right now from last year. So as mentioned, those financing arms are expected to incur billions of dollars of losses. And then the fourth way that the used car prices declining are affecting the automotive industry is obviously through dealership earnings. So dealer earnings make so much money on new cars. Sometimes it's a loss leader. It's just to acquire the customer into service and financing and warranties. However, there is still sometimes profit made on new cars, although the margin is very small. However, this is still going to affect dealership earnings. So the next part of the video is talking about how to buy a used car, especially during this time right now. A lot of people are reaching out to me on Instagram on how to buy a used car during this specific time, and I can't get back to every single person on Instagram or on Twitter, so I decided to dedicate a whole section of this video. So pay attention. So demand is obviously low right now. People aren't necessarily, jumping out of bed at 9 in the morning saying, "Hey honey, let's go to the dealership. I want to get, the Corona." That's terrible. I shouldn't even joke around about this. But demand is low, okay? So we are in the driver's seat. Terrible pun. Edit that out. No, I'll just keep it in. So we're in the driver's seat as the consumer, meaning that they need to sell a car more than we need to buy one, okay? So what you want to do is you want to go on a website where it shows you how long the car has been on their inventory or on their lot. So you may want to check out cargurus.com. I'm not affiliated with them. I've just used it as a consumer for many years. And if you scroll down, you can actually see the price history of the car, how long they've had it, and how much it's been discounted. So the longer a car sits on a lot, that means the more the dealership is paying an interest in terms of financing that car, meaning they're accruing interest and losing profit. So they got to move this inventory. Otherwise, it's going to go to auction. But wait, auctions are actually getting crushed right now because inventory is outpacing demand. So that's your first advantage to dealing in this environment. The second is, this one you already know, whether it's during the pandemic or not, be prepared to walk away. So if they want to sell you the car, great. If not, no big deal, walk away. If they really want to sell you the car, they'll call you back a day or two later and say, "Hey Marco, we know you're looking at this, car. We're going to discount it another blank. Will that work out for you?" And that's when you can start to negotiate. Number 3 is you want to line up your financing before you get to the dealership. That way you know going in what your budget and what your payment is going to be and what your APR or your interest rate is. If the dealer can beat it with their financing, great, go ahead and take it. If not, use yours. But you never want to be pressured into a deal that you don't want to take. And then number 4, don't trade in your car during this time. There's no incentive for dealerships to take in your car at a reasonable price or reasonable value because they're sitting on so much inventory anyway that they're gonna lowball the heck out of you, okay? So don't trade in your car. What I would recommend doing is selling it privately. There's a million different websites you can do it. And guess what? I've bought and sold a million cars on Craigslist and I'm still in one piece. I haven't been chopped up or thrown into a freezer or a trunk, okay? It's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. So if a used car is not for you, let's check out some of the new car deals that are going on right now. So if you are in the market for a new car and you decided that going used is not for you, there's a lot of incentives going on right now in terms of new car deals. Do I recommend buying a new car? Probably not. Usually financially it doesn't make sense because of the depreciation hit you take driving right off the lot. Typically you're going to lose about 30% just within the first couple of years. However, there are a lot of incentives going on right now. So the biggest thing that I'm noticing is that a lot of financial arms of these car manufacturers are creating incentives in terms of payment deferrals and also grants. So what do I mean by this? So for example, I'm going to list off about 7 or 8 here just to give you an idea, although I will link to a Car and Driver article down below. It has incentives from all the major manufacturers. So Ford is actually offering to make your first 3 payments, like literally just make your payments for you. So if your payment's $400, you have $1,200 right there for the first 3 months, and then they're going to defer your payments for the next 3 months. So meaning for the first 6 months, you basically have no car payment, okay? Although you do owe the last 3. Fiat Chrysler, don't know anyone that would want to voluntarily buy a Fiat or Chrysler product other than maybe a Jeep or a Dodge Ram, but they're actually offering 84 months at 0% financing. So the thing with 0% financing is that, yes, you're not paying interest on it and it basically is quote unquote free money, but you're obviously going to be paying a higher amount for the price of the car. So if it makes sense for you, you may want to put a little bit of money down, finance that sucker out for 7-8 years, and there you go. Although I don't recommend that whatsoever. If you can make more money somewhere else than 0%, then mathematically it does make sense. Genesis is actually offering 6 months of payments. They're going to take care of it for you if you did get laid off or lose your job during COVID. I just said COVID. Video's demonetized. No, share the video with a friend. It's already demonetized. I'm just kidding. So if you lose your job, and a couple other manufacturers are using this as well, if you lose your job due to the pandemic or during the pandemic, they will make up to 6 months of payments for you. And they're also offering 0% financing on their G70 product, which after watching a bunch of reviews actually is a pretty decent car. GM, 0%, 84 months. Honda, $1,000 towards the purchase of a new car and 3 months of payment deferral. Hyundai, 6 months, that'll pay for job loss. I mean, Genesis is Hyundai, so it's the same thing. Also with 0% financing available. Kia, 75 months, 0%. And Volkswagen actually sounds like it has the best one. They're going to defer payments for 6 months, and you're going to get 0% interest for up to 72 months. So do I recommend buying a new car? I don't know. If the depreciation and the 0% financing and you being able to invest that money in something else that makes you more than 0%, actually preferably something that makes more than inflation, 2 to 2.5%, then I say go for it. But however, you have to take the depreciation into account. If this is a car you're going to keep forever until the wheels fall off, sometimes buying new does make sense, although most of the time I am against it. So I hope this video brought you value. I hope you didn't get laid off during this time. However, if you are in the market for a car, or if you know someone that is, please share this video on social media. It greatly helps me when you do that. And also give the video a thumbs up. Thank you so much. And as always, have a prosperous day. Bro, Fiat Chrysler, how are they still in business?